up, guys? Travic here. Today, I want to talk about bossing in Project Diablo 2. We are in early stages of Season 12. I've done a lot of bossing. I put a lot of gear together, and a lot of people ask me about a guide or step-by-step on how to do all the bosses and the steps in between. So today, I kind of wanted to walk you through the bosses, walk you through what I did, and kind of give you guys a rundown of the information. Now, note, today's video is going to give you the following. It's going to show you how to get the boss materials. It's going to show you how to gear for the bosses. It's going to show you the bosses live in action. And it's going to walk you through pretty much the sequence of events that the bosses are going to do. So while it's Amazon focused, a lot of the basic core concepts will transfer over. Now, Season 12 is a little bit weird with health and bosses and stuff, but we don't know what's going on, if bosses are bugged, bosses are not bugged, but the concept of gearing and the concept of mechanics should transfer over, and those shouldn't change at all. The only thing you'd have to worry about is the health and the bosses and how that's looking. Now, I did my events on bosses for Amazon, and it was a lot of fun, and there's something really cool that a lot of people don't really know. When you do the bosses and you clear the bosses and you clear them in tier 2, you gain an aura. So the big blue glow around my character is the Rathma aura, and you can see there's like cool little lightning bolts. These lightning bolts mean that you were in the top 3, so this is a top 3 Amazon kill. Lucian has a different aura. Lucian has a black aura, and you can barely see the lightning bolts, but this is a top 3 Lucian aura. And if you don't top 3 a tier 2 boss, you get a completely different aura, which looks like this without the lightning bolts. Now, as long as you kill the boss in tier 2, your character will get the aura. Top 3 auras are account bound. Non-top 3 auras are character bound. So this red aura is only on this character, while the other 2 are universal. So let's start from the ground up and say you want to be a bosser. Say you want to be an Amazon bosser. So let's start there. First and foremost, Amazon does an insane amount of damage on jab. We are going to utilize the weapon Stone Raven. I actually started my bossing with a non-F Stone Raven. I actually completed my top 3 without an F1. And you get a Stone Raven. This is going to be your main weapon of choice. You want to get as much resistance as possible, as high as enhanced damage as possible, and your javelin and spear skills are big damage. I had mentioned that bossing requires specific gear, so we'll talk about the gear in a second. But to pretty much fight as an Amazon, or to do the bosses as an Amazon, we're going to max jab, and its synergies being Fend is the only synergy, and we're going to max javelin and spear mastery so we get points of critical strike. We're not going to put anything in bow and passive, and bow and crossbow, but in passive and magic, we're going to put 1 point crit, 1 point pierce. We're going to max out penetrate so that we gain enemy physical resistance. And then we're going to put points, as you can see here. I opted for more points in dodge versus points in evade, but you want to split up between the 2 of these relatively nicely. Now, when we start our bossing encounter, we're going to need a couple of things. First, we're going to need a gear set. Second, we're going to need materials. And third, we're going to need a whole lot of rejuves to make sure that we survive. So we're going to grab our Stone Raven, and we're going to figure out what boss and what order we're going to want to do things in. The easiest one to get started with, and the one that most people start with, are the keys. Keys allow you to go to the Uber fight, so it's Uber Tristram. So keys drop from a variety of places. Key of Terror is Countess or Blood Raven. Key of Hate is Summoner or Blood Witch. And Key of Destruction is Nihilek or Izual. Izal. Blood Raven's in the Cold Plains. Countess is in the Black Marsh. Where's the other ones? Summoner or Blood Witch. Summoner is Arcane Sanctuary, and then Blood Witch is in Halls of the Dead level 3. And then Izal is out in the Plains of Despair outside of town. So you leave town here, you go to the first area, and then you go to the second area, and that's where Izal is. And then Nihilek is in the Halls of Pain. Me personally, on League start, I will try to farm keys myself to try to race the bosses. Past League start, when I have currency, depending on how the market looks, I will buy the key sets. For the purpose of this video, I bought the key sets. They ran me about a Vex rune or 0.5 high runes to get all 3 keys. Once you have all 3 keys, you're going to have to fight the mini Ubers, which we're going to go into all of them, and then the mini Ubers give you organs. Organs make the Trist key. But before we do that, let's talk about gear. I am currently set up to do Dclone, and this gear works very well for the minis. So we're going to be using Lava Gouts to give us maximum fire resistance, Raven Frost so that we cannot be frozen, Shaft Stop with 2 sockets, and high physical damage reduction, which is going to be very important. So we have 29% here. We have a Vex rune in our Shaft Stop for maximum fire resistance, and a Ruby for more life. Ideally, that Ruby would be a Jaw. We have a Shaco for +2 to skills, as this is very relevant in terms of jab bossing, as plus to skills is huge. Also, Shaco gives us physical damage reduction, which you'll see why is important when we go to Dclone. And we have 2 sockets. Ideally, these would eventually be 2 jaw runes. We have a Dwarf Star for Dclone, so that we have Fire Absorb. We have Water Walks that have maximum fire resistance. Ideally, these would have been corrupt with more maximum fire resistance, but you know, we take what we can get. And we have an amulet that we have skills resistance and maximum resistance as a corrupt. This gives us our resistances. You're going to notice on here we have 90 fire, 77 cold, 77 lightning, 68 poison, and this is good enough to do these. You probably actually don't even need high fire resistance to do these. The only thing that you're going to need is a gigaton of resistances so that you don't just get immediately clapped by Meth and Bale. But that's fine, we'll get there. Now we've got some basic gear. We want to make sure that we have a buff. We use Call to Arms. In our weapon swap, Call to Arms is Am, Ral, Mal, Ist, Om instead of a 5-socket base. I think it's like flails and swords only. This gives us battle orders. And what battle orders does is let me hide my face here. You see I have 2246 health. And then when I battle orders, I go up to 2476. So it's just an extra health buff. And then we use lidless so that we can buff everything up. Now I'm going to keep my face hidden for this so you guys can watch my health pool and what's going on. And we're going to talk our way through this. Earlier I had mentioned we want rejuves. We're going to want to bring a whole lot of rejuves while we do these fights. And they're just pretty much the safe bet. Now, organs and keys go like this. You put all your keys in here. You want 3 of each key because here's what happens. When you put these keys in and you hit transmute, it brings up a random portal. You don't know which area you're going to get, and you want to make sure that you get all 3 organs, otherwise you're going to be in for a rough time. This first area, the Forgotten Sands, is going to bring us to Duriel, and Duriel is going to be somewhere in this zone. Usually a lot of the time, I ignore the mobs in the zone as I'm trying to save some time and I'm looking for the boss. Now, Duriel in here is going to be a pain. He's going to have his little cold aura, and you pretty much just sit there and spam rejuves as you need to, and you kill him as fast as possible. There's not really a whole lot with the Duriel fight here. He's pretty basic and down to earth, so you don't really have to worry too much other than just have some rejuves, make sure you press your buttons, and you're good to go. And eventually, hopefully your damage is high enough and you kill him. If you need to, you should clear the enemies out around him. It makes things a little bit easier, but we do so much damage that we don't need to. But the only big difference between what you saw there and what's going on is you just need to clear the enemies around him. Now, Duriel will drop your eyeball, you'll grab your eyeball, and you'll be off to the races. Now, when I open the cube again, we're going to get another area. We're going to get the Furnace of Pain. This is the easiest of the 3. They are going to come in here, and we're going to look for, oh my god, I don't remember his name, but I'm sure we'll see it in a minute. Izal, maybe? I think that's who it is. Uber Izal. But yeah, there he is. And then we're just going to look for this guy, and we're going to do the exact same thing. If the enemies around him are just too much for you, you know, you just spend a second clearing out the enemies because sometimes, you know, they may be a little overwhelming and you just don't want to deal with them, and that's totally reasonable. He's the easiest of the 3, just like Duriel. He's just sit here and stab him until he, you know, falls over. And we just give him, you know, we give him the business. And then boom, we get our meth brain, we get a world star for our troubles, and we move on to the next guy. Now, the last of the 3 minis is a pain in the ass. The last of the 3 minis is going to be Lilith. She's going to be in the Matron's Den. She's the hardest one to find, the biggest pain, and I like to bring a little bit of antidote potions with us because she poisons you, and her poison is pretty intense. So these flesh hunters down here, they're a real problem. They will give you a very hard time. They will kick your ass if you're not careful. And pretty much, I try to clear them if I need to. Otherwise, I like to run away from them. And then we are on the hunt for Lilith. Now, I don't know a good way to find Lilith. If you know a good way to find Lilith, leave a comment down below. That would be more than helpful and more than great. And there she is right there. And you're going to notice right away she's going to poison us, and it's going to tick for a whole lot of damage. Now, I like to just kind of make sure that I just don't die, and I use my antidote venom, and sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't, but in longer fights, you want to make sure that you have enough antidote so that you don't just kind of fall over. Now, we have our 3 organs, we have our brain, our eyeball, and our horn, and let's get the hell out of here. Once you have all 3, we put them in our cube, we hit transmute, and we get a Pandemonium Talisman. Now, remember, these 3 portals are random, so you want to make sure you open all 3 in the same game, otherwise you're going to be in for a world of trouble. Now, in terms of where we go from here, we're going to do the exact same thing that we did. We have our Pandemonium Talisman. We're going to fill up on our rejuves. We're going to make sure that we have a bunch of rejuves. We're going to put this away so that we don't have any problems. And then we're going to go into the fight. Now, I don't need a full cube of rejuves. I don't need a full cube of inventories of juves, but some of you guys might need that until your gear is a lot better or you're used to this. Now, the Pandemonium Talisman we have to open here by the Bloodwell. This will open 3 portals, so it'll port us in, and there'll be 3 portals on the outside, so you have multiple attempts in case you mess up. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to buff. Now, in this area, it's a little tricky. There's Meth, Diablo, and Bale, and they each provide you with problems. So Diablo's down there. Bale's going to lower resist you, Bale's going to lower resist you, and Meph's going to have Conviction Aura. So what you would ideally like is to have 150 cold and 150 lightning res so that you're super overcapped lightning res and cold res so you don't accidentally die. And I'm not going to do that in this because I'm going to show you the amount of damage that you would take if you don't do that and how rippy it can be if you don't cap your resistances. Now, the easiest way to do this fight is to pull Meth alone by himself, and you can see how we did that. We looked, we scouted all around. We saw Diablo was on the lower side. We ran all the way around. We found Meth, and then we pull Meth to the side and see just like that, you know, and this is what I wanted to showcase. This is the important part of what I wanted to showcase is if you're not careful and you don't cap those resistances and overcap those resistances, he will kill you out of nowhere. And it's really awkward and really, really wild because now you only have 3 attempts. You've got to get your body back. Things are awkward, and it's not something that you want to do. Now, if you just overcap your resistances, like I had mentioned, like super overcap lightning, super overcap cold, it wouldn't and shouldn't be so much of a problem. If you don't overcap your resistances, then you just want to make sure that you rejuve as early as possible. You saw in that fight, I was at half health. I didn't rejuve. Normally I would rejuve there, but for the sake of the video and showcasing the amount of damage that he does and how you can die out of nowhere, I, bit the bullet. So we kill Meth. We're happy. We're good to go. We clear up these little bit of ads so we don't have to worry. We refill our belt so we don't have any problems. Just like that, we grab our rejuves, and now we go to the next area. So Bale came by himself, and Bale's gonna do the exact same thing. He's gonna curse us eventually with lower res, and our resistances are gonna go into the tank. You can see that he also hits just as hard as Meth does. Meth definitely is the hardest of the 3 to kill. He hits the hardest, and then you can see our resistances are now cooked. So you wanna do the same thing where you just make sure that you keep your health topped off, and you are pretty much good to go. Once you kill the 2 of those, and Diablo's the last one, ideally you wait until this falls off because you don't want to deal with a metric amount of fire. If you go in with the curse still on, the curse is off. Okay, I was going to go in with the curse still on just so you guys can see what's going on. But you just kind of come up to him, same thing that we did. You just, if you need to, you dodge the laser beams. If you're pretty tanky like I am, you can sit there and you can just kind of, heal your way through it. Now, once you kill the 3 of these guys, you're going to collect your Hellfire Torch, you're going to collect your Soul Stone, and we're going to make a new game. So that is the reward. You get a Hellfire Torch from that, and you get a Black Soul Stone. The Black Soul Stone is used for fighting Dclone. The Torch is used for Rathma and other players. So this one is a 231-16 Sork. I probably shouldn't melt this down. I should probably sell it, but for the sake of the video, we're going to melt it down. So we've killed our minis. We're ready for our next encounter. We feel pretty good about ourselves. We're ready to go. So here's what we're going to do next. We're going to get materials together to fight Dclone. So to fight Dclone, we need the following. A Pure Demonic Essence, which comes from any tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 map boss. A Prime Evil Soul, which comes from any of the Prime Evils, being Mephisto, Diablo, Bale. And we're going to need a Black Soul Stone, which we just saw that came from Uber Tristram and dropped at the end alongside of our torch. Once we have the 3 of these, we combine them together and we get a Vision of Terror. Visions of Terror allow us a Dclone entry. Tier 0 will only drop you the Annihilus Charm. Tier 1 has a chance of boss items, and Tier 2 has a larger chance of boss items. Tier 0, just like Trist, has 3 portals. Tier 1 and Tier 2 have no portals. Now, you can tell what tier you're on if you don't read the top by the little arrows that are located on this. For this sake of the video, we're going to do Tier 1 because it's a little bit harder. I want you guys to really kind of get an idea of what's going on, and because bossing in this league being Season 12 is a little awkward and a little shaky, I feel like giving you a Tier 1 boss fight gives a little bit more of a realistic approach. Now, for this fight, we're going to need a couple of things. As this tells you, this is going to be a harder fight. For Dclone, I like to have the following. I like to have 90 fire resistance. I like to have 75 cold resistance. I like to have 75 lightning resistance. And if possible, as close to 75 poison resistance as I can get. You'll see in the fight, there's going to be a ton of skeletons. Those skeletons are going to be a huge pain in the ass. They're going to deal a whole bunch of different types of damage. And you're just going to want to make sure that you don't just accidentally get run over by the skeletons. So we just make sure that we overcap our resistance. We overcap our fire resistance a couple of ways. You can do it with lava gouts here. You can do it with water walks. You can do it with a boot corrupt. You can do it with a max resistance belt corrupt. You can do it with a max resistance amulet corrupt. You could do it with a vex rune in your armor. Just a couple of different ways to do it. After we gain the 90, 75, 75, 75, we want to check other things. The next major important thing is we want physical damage reduction being 50%. I do this with a shaft stop at 29%, a Shaco at 6%, a Verdungo's at 15%. So we have 29, 15, and 6. That gives us the 50. And that's pretty much what we need to get started on that. The other major important thing that you need for Dclone, because the skeletons kind of suck, is you need a source of cannot be frozen. I do that with my Raven Frost. Now, once you have the gear put together, we're going to use the exact same gear. You're going to want to go give tier 0 a try. I started with rubies, and I want to showcase that you could do it with rubies. The big important thing is going to be your weapon. A better weapon is going to make this easier. Now, other things to note when bossing, and I didn't talk about these earlier because they weren't relevant and they're relevant now. You want as much life as possible. You see we have 2246 life, and when I buff, I have 2476. You want life everywhere. If you can get it, you want it everywhere. So Javelin and Spear, for example, benefits really well from having skillers because damage, we gain a lot of damage and a lot of attack rating from this, and then these also have life on them. Ideally, these would all be 35 or more life, which would be really nice. You can see I'm actually working on a second character I'll show you really quick. And he too just has 35 life on all of these, except this one. I'm gonna eventually replace that one. But you want to make sure that you keep your life total as high as possible, and then your small charms being resistances. You want to eventually get life and resistance small charms to cap out as where you can, how you can. Now this character, I didn't have all of the perfect ideal gear because I was just racing for the top 3. So I'm going to show you very basic average charms. You know, nothing too great. Some of these have life, some of them don't. Some of them are just basic resistances. And we're going to go from there. Now, this fight is on the harder side, like I had mentioned, so you're going to want to put rejuves in your stash. You're going to want to put rejuves on your person. You're going to want to put rejuves everywhere, and you're going to want to check that your belt has nice big rejuves and not accidental small ones, because that's going to be a hard problem. Now, Dclone fight is going to be really interesting. Tier 1's harder. We're going to take a lot of damage, but I'm going to try to talk you through it. So we're going to go over here. Our mercenary cannot come in with us, so she's going to die. Excuse me, we're going to double check everything. We have 90 fire, 75, 75, 68. We have absorb from our dwarf star, which helps us a little bit. 50 PDR, and then we are pretty much good to go. The first thing that we could do when we go in here is we're going to buff. So we're going to want to Vision of Terror, run behind this pillar and buff up, and you see that fire comes. Ignore this lightning. You need to run out of it. It will kill you. That fire is annoying as well. It hurts a lot. You're going to want to buff through it, and this is what happens if you stand in that lightning. You'll notice you just take an excessive amount of damage that you shouldn't have taken. After you deal a whole bunch of damage to Dclone, he's going to summon these skeletal warriors. You're going to have to dodge the meteors, dodge the fire from this thing, and kill the skeleton warriors while also dodging his laser beams. So there's some fire, so forth and so on. And then you just need to handle these, and these will hit you. If these hit you, they leave fire on the ground, so you want to, like, not hit them. Now, I'm taking a whole bunch of extra damage here. I shouldn't take as much damage as I'm taking, but it's a little bit harder to do the boss and talk at the same time. So we're going to run away. We're going to refill our belt because we need to. We're going to heal up, and then we're going to go back to doing the fight. If Diablo has the rainbow colors under him, he is immune. After the skeleton phases and you deal a bunch of damage to Dclone, he's going to run back to the middle, and he's going to do this wave. I think he does this wave 6 times. These will one-shot you. You have to hide behind a pillar. When he's done with that, you go back in, you give him the business, you dodge laser beams, you dodge the meteors, you dodge the fireballs, you dodge everything, and then eventually we go to the second skeleton phase where we do skeletons again, and now we have skeleton archers that really suck, skeleton warriors that really suck, laser beams, comets, and pretty much everything and its mother is being thrown at us. We're gonna refill our belt, because we're scared. We're gonna stab the things. Whoa, that hurt. Okay, we're gonna come over here. We're gonna kill this guy. We're gonna just kind of force these to die. Usually you just wouldn't stand in all that, but we're gonna force it. And you'll notice the red circle around underneath Dclone. If you're too far away from Dclone and he has that on him, he'll be immune and you can't deal him damage. Now these, you can actually run these into pillars, and these will leave the fire on the ground at the pillar, so you can see that, so it makes things a little bit easier. Now, after you clear up the skeletons, you heal up, you gain control of the fight, you go back in, you give him the business, and then he runs back to the middle, and he does his wave of doom. Now, there is desync problems. You can desync, you will die. It happens, I've died, but don't stress. While he's doing this, we're gonna throw our cube on the floor to refill our inventory and pick up our cube again, because that's the easiest way to do it. And then we're gonna go to phase 3, where we're just gonna give him the business. We're gonna hope we don't accidentally die. We're gonna just do what we need to do. We're gonna hope and pray. Here's all the skeletons, and now we have to deal with skeleton archers, skeleton mages, and Dclone. What an absolute pain in the ass. So we're gonna come over here, we're gonna give him the business, we're gonna come over there, we're gonna give this a stab, we're gonna move this way, we're gonna give this a stab, we're gonna keep an eye on the pots in our belt as well. We wanna make sure that we don't accidentally mess up and forget to fill our potions. I've done that so many times. My friends have seen me stream these fights, and I go to press like the 3 key to heal because that's where my finger is, and there's no potion on the 3 key, and then I die, and then I look like an asshole because, you know, the fight was going smooth and everything was going good, and then I got nervous and I was shaking like a leaf. I mean, you press the wrong button and then you die, and it's, oh, sick! I just bought one of those for this video. Sick, money made, boys! We clear all the ads, we kill everything, we take control of the fight again, we fill our pots, and then we are ready for the absolute ending of this fight. We do the exact same thing. We give him the business. We pray to God we don't accidentally die. He runs to the center for one last final time, and then we fill up our belt. We wait for him to do what he's doing, and then we are absolutely off to the races. So he's gonna do what he's doing, and that's that. Here we go. And then we come here, we give him the 1-2 wappa lappa ding ding dongs, and then we give him the stabba wabbas and the who's its and the what's its and the stabby wabbies. And then here we go, here we go, here we go. Boom, baby, Annihilus. And just like that, we get our charm and we get the hell out of Dodge. Now, I'm not gonna ID this, I'm just gonna sell it un-ID to recoup some of my losses. And then pretty much this is the charm that you would get. Now, I know mine is corrupted, and that's fine. We'll talk about why it's corrupted in a minute. Let's leave this game, go to a new game, refill everything, and talk about what's going on next. So now we have our Annihilus. So now what's the next boss in the list? There are 2 more bosses. The third one being Lucian, which we're going to cover in another video, and the second one being Rathma. Rathma is the absolute nightmare of nightmares. To get to Rathma, you need the following: a Trangal's Jawbone, which drops from any undead enemy. You saw it drop inside of the fight we just did. You're going to need a Splinter of the Void, which is this, which comes out of maps. Inside of maps, there will be a map event, and you'll see the undead guy summoning a bunch of enemies. It's usually the experience event. He has a chance of dropping the Splinter. And then we need a Hellfire Torch. Now, the Hellfire Torch is really interesting. You can actually put the Hellfire Torch inside your cube. Excuse me. Come on over to Mala over here, buy a key, put the key inside your cube, and then press this together and melt it down into Hellfire Ashes. Now, the 3 of these together will do the same thing, is going to make a Void Stone of Terror. Or just a Void Stone for the Rathma fight. I actually forget the name of it. Void Stone of Terror is Dclone. Rathma for this video, we're going to do on tier 0. Rathma, to me, is still a 50-50. I would rather complete the fight and show you the reward than accidentally die. Same thing, tier 1 has a chance of boss items, tier 2 has larger boss items, and tier 0 can only drop the Corrupted Void Stone, which we'll talk about when we get there. Now, Rathma is a very interesting beast and requires extremely different gear from the Dclone fight. Rathma, for example, wants a lot of maximum poison resistance, so we're going to swap our helmet to an Andes. Rathma wants a lot of poison length reduction and poison resistance, so we're going to swap our armor to a Venom Ward. Rathma wants just more maximum resistances, so we're going to swap one of our rings to more maximum resistance. Rathma wants a lot of poison length reduction, so we're going to swap another one of our rings to just super poison length reduction, and we're going to swap one of our amulets to super poison length reduction. Now, I'm actually missing another piece of gear to do this fight, so I'm going to go grab that really quick, and then we're going to put that onto the character so that we can make sure that we are prepared and ready to go. So let's go back over to our Zon. And let's grab the last item that we need for the Rathma fight, which is Snow Clash. Rathma, like I mentioned, needs very different gear and very interesting requirements compared to the other fight. First and foremost, Rathma needs poison length reduction, which is this up here. We want to get this as close to 0 as possible. Ideally, you want 150% PLR or poison length reduction. We're getting 75% from our amulet, 50% from our chest plate, 36% from here, and I believe that's all the sources of PLR that we have, or poison length reduction. We want to get as many resistances as we can, as high of max resistance as we can, so we have 87 fire, 84 cold, 77 lightning, which we don't care about lightning for the Rathma fight, 90 poison resist, which is absolutely positively necessary, and as much life as humanly possible. Now, I'm going to do this with lava gouts on because Rathma scares the living hell out of me, and I just want to make sure that I have as much fire resistance as I can so that I don't accidentally die. Rathma's a really interesting fight. You need a lot of poison resistance, and you don't need pretty much any lightning resistance. So we're actually going to swap out this lightning resist charm for a fire resist charm. Now, Rathma casts lower res, just very similar to Bale in the Uber fight, so you're going to want to make sure that you're at 128% fire resistance, and we're over poison here, over poison there, so we're going to put some fire resist in here. We're going to put some fire resist in here. We're over lightning resistance. We can come down lightning resistance a little bit. We're going to put some fire resist there. Do we have another fire charm? I might have to go grab another fire charm from another character. We have fire there. We can take this off. We can put fire here. That's 125. And that's, we ideally want 128, but I'm not going to stress over 3% because it's tier 0. Tier 0, you have portals, so you're pretty much good to go. Once you have all of your poison length reduction, you have your overcapped resistances, you have your rejuves, which we don't have. We're going to go grab our rejuves. We're going to go into the fight. Now, something very interesting. Rathma is a poison fight, so because it is a poison fight, we're going to need antidote potions. This part sucks. So we're going to grab ourselves some antidote potions. We're going to come over here to Mala. We're going to buy some antidote potions. Rathma is a 3-part fight. Part 1 being poison, part 2 being magic damage, and part 3 being both of those combined. So we're going to go into the fight. We're going to buff up. We're safe here. We don't really have to worry too much right here. We're going to get all of our buffs going on. And then we're going to walk our way over to Rathma. Please be careful. While I said you don't need lightning resistance for the fight, there's a bunch of lightning mobs out here. Our beautiful friends, the souls that like to kick our ass, and they are out here. The fight goes like this. You have to walk your way to the encounter. And while you walk your way to the encounter, there is a lot of mobs here. These mobs are an eye level 92 zone. This is the highest zone in the mod. So you can actually get a lot of experience if you kill these enemies. And they also drop rejuves. So if you go through this encounter and there's like a bunch of enemies, you take a whole bunch of damage, so forth and so on, you can actually pick up a bunch of rejuves. What a lot of people like to do is they like to bring in less rejuves for this encounter, and they like to pick up a bunch of rejuves while they go. I do that most of the time, especially on tier 0s, but since we're learning together in this video, I brought in a full thing of rejuves just to showcase how it's actually done until you're more experienced. So you'll work your way through these enemies, you'll pick up pots as you need them, and then you'll make your way over to the encounter. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna make our way. We're gonna kill all these enemies. We're gonna dodge the lightning. We're gonna overheal because there's a ton of pots everywhere, so we can overheal a lot. We don't have to worry about spending our rejuves. I mean, you should kind of worry, but you like don't need to like super worry. You know what I mean? Like, you can use them, but you don't need to, like, don't overdo it, right? You know, like, be smart. You know, if you're gonna die, obviously heal. Don't just die. I mean, yeah, you have multiple portals, but you're gonna need them, dude. Phase 3, bro, Phase 3 is a nightmare, bro. Especially if you've never seen this. Holy, dude, Phase 3 is an absolute positive mess. So we come over here, we give these guys the stabba-wabba ding-ding-dongs. We clear out the souls, we clear out the enemies. We realize that we use a whole lot of rejuves. We'll clean up the enemies a little bit. We'll grab some rejuves. We're going to run away. And then we're going to go to the fight. Now, you're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to get to the runes here. You're going to compose yourself. You're going to do what you need to do. Heal if you need to. Grab another pot. Double check you have all your pots. Go in and buff up. Rathma has a couple of things going on. It has these pillars. These pillars will shoot lightning bolts. They will kill you. Rathma will do that poison wave. It will kill you. These will kill you. They are dodgeable. After you deal a lot of damage to Rathma, they will summon these bearers, these little golems. They walk down this way, like you see, to Rathma. When they get to Rathma, I'm actually going to let this one get there. It will heal, or he's Mendelin. When it gets to Mendelin, it's going to heal him. So you have to kill all of them before they get there. And you can see they're relatively on the slower side. And there you go, he healed. Now, after you do a golem phase, you have to do the golem phase 3 times. If he heals, like he just heals, he's not going to add another golem phase in. You just have to, you know, kill him. We have the overcapped poison for this phase. We have overcapped cold for this phase. And like I said, while these are very telegraphed, they will indeed kill you. So you can see we just run all around. Our Amazon dodge kicked in there, which we're really happy about. And then we refill our belt, we gain control of the fight, and then we give him the business again. Now, he will deal a lot of poison damage. This is tier 0, so we have a lot of poison length reduction already. We have a lot of poison resistance. But you can see those, they hurt. They hurt. We're going to take that. You can see that, oh my god, we almost died there. You know, just trying to take the damage to showcase the damage to you guys. And there you go, we almost died again. And, you know, usually you just go in and you just beat the hell out of him and you call it a good day, right? Like, but for the sake of this video, okay, so we had to use an antidote potion there. But for the sake of this video, we're just kind of trying to showcase the moves, the mechanics, what he's got going on, and walk you through it. Now, after you do 3 or 4, I think it's 3 of the golem phases, he will eventually run away. So this is the last golem phase here. We're gonna go kill the golems really quick. Okay, we do that, we do this, we come over here, we do that. Then we come here and we kill him, and he is going to run away. So to recap this section of the fight, these pillars will deal cold damage. They will pretty much one-tap you. He has lower resist on us. You can see our resistances are still capped, thank God. That's really, really, really nice. And then he's going to do a bunch of poison, which we use the antidotes for, and he's going to deal a bunch of damage. Now, going into the Decaying Swamplands, this is the segue section between Phase 1 and Phase 2. In here, we don't need antidote potions, and we don't need antidote at all for the next stage of the fight. So you can actually get rid of them for now. You'll be able to get more of them later in the next segue section. We're going to kill some enemies. We're going to fill all of our rejuves. And you can see I used very few rejuves in that fight, and that's why players don't usually bring a whole lot of rejuves with them, because you only need so few depending on your skill level, how good you're at dodging, how good your damage is. And then you kind of come to the next area and you just, you know, you kill mobs if you need to, and you can see way more rejuves drop in this section than they did in section 1. So you can easily just refill your belt on everything and not have to worry. So we're going to do the same thing that we just did. We're going to make our way through this. We're going to give everything the business. The good old stabba-wabba ding-ding-dongs. We're going to give it the business. We're going to pick up that rejuve. And we're going to make our way through the pathway, through all the enemies. Hope to not accidentally die. I mean, you know, stuff happens. Get the enemies. Come over here. You know, there's dolls too. Those things suck. Those things will accidentally kill you out of nowhere, especially if you're not careful. Just a billion rejuves everywhere. Stab everything. Oh my god, they're everywhere. They're all in the way. Why are you all in the way? Get out the way. Move. God. All right, I'm giving everything the business. Forget it. All right, now this next part of the fight is interesting. Now we fight Rathma. Phase 1, we fought Mendelin. Phase 2, we fight Rathma. Rathma has multiple stages, just the same. And the difference is Rathma deals magic damage and % life-based damage. So we come in here, and there he is. We're going to buff up. He teleports on top of you. And these are % damage. That hit is % damage. So he bone cages you, you dodge it. He hits you with teeth, that hurts. And then he hits you with teeth, and that hurts. And then you can see that's % damage. The higher the tier of the fight, the harder that will hit you. So tier 0 is not that hard. Tier 1 is a lot harder, and tier 3 is like 85% of your life. So we do that. What we normally do, we come in, we give him the business. He puts a lot of fire on the ground. He'll summon a couple of enemies. He's going to summon this Conjured Soul. That guy will insta-kill you right away. He sucks. Outside of that guy, he's going to summon these Void Knights. These Void Knights make him invulnerable. You can see he has the little invulnerability underneath him. You have to kill the Void Knights to go into the next section of the phase. So you go up to him, you dodge all of his stuff, pretty straightforward. He makes an awkward noise. I'm going to shut up for a minute to see if we can hear it. That awkward noise there means he's doing the percent-based life attack. You dodge everything, you come up to him, you give him the business, you know, you give him the little stabba-wabbas, and then phase 2 of the fight, he summons, again, another set of Void Knights. We're caged. We kill the Void Knights. We give them the business. And then we heal. We make sure we don't die. We run around. We collect ourselves. We compose. We fill our belt. And then we just kind of come back in and just give him the absolute business one last time. He's going to summon a bunch of dudes again. They're really annoying. We're going to give them the stabba-wabbas, the ding-ding-dongs, and then we're going to come up to him. And then after we do 3 phases of Void Knights, he's going to do the exact same thing Mendelin did and run away because he is a little scaredy cat. So now we're going to go into the Void, and this is the last section of the fight. When we come in here, we're going to do the exact same thing that we've been doing. We're going to buff up to make sure that we don't die, and we're going to kill some enemies, and we're going to refill our belt and refill everything going on. Now, the next stage of the fight, like I had mentioned, is both Rathma and Mendelin. So you're going to need antidote potions. I personally like to go in with 6. I've seen players go in with only 4. I've seen players go in with 5. I've seen players go in with 8. I personally really like 6. I fat finger it a lot. It's really, really, really annoying. You know, the fight's hectic, man. You know, you get nervous. Even in tier 0, you get nervous. So we're just gonna give him the business. We're gonna kill some of these mobs. We're looking for antidote potions. We're looking for rejuves, and then we're just gonna run around this zone and look for the portal to the fight. Yeah, the portal can be in the top left, the top right, or the bottom right, so you don't know where the portal is going to be. And like I said, this area gives a whole lot of experience, so you know, it's pretty good to clear. Now, phase 3 is sketchy. Phase 3 is rough. Like I said, phase 3 on tier 1 is still like a 50-50 if I can kill it or not. Sometimes I just get so nervous because I'm human and I die. Other times, not a big deal. If you do die on tier 0 and you come into the portal again to fight him, it will put you right into the fight, so be prepared. So we're going to prep our stuff here. We're going to grab our rejuves. We're going to make sure that we have everything. We're going to fill up on all of our pots and stuff. I realize we need one more. I probably actually don't, and we're going to go fill it. Now, when we go in here and we fight them, they're going to be together. See, they're together. I like to focus on Mendelin first because he's a pain in the ass. And they're going to do all of their stuff. Now, I'm going to try here to separate them. I'm going to try to get Rathma to port away. Mendelin's going to do his thing. There's the poison vial shot. That deals a lot of damage. And then we separate them. And then here they are on top of each other again. So you have to just, you know, dodge everything. Kill everything. Deal with Void Knights. Deal with massive poison. And it is the most hectic shit in the world. So, like, you could see, like, I'm not trying to actively, like, take damage to show you guys. I'm actually actively taking damage. There's the antidote. We come here, we give him the business again. He's insta-phase because we deal so much damage, and health is really buggy. We kill those, we kill these. We're taking a whole lot of extra damage that we shouldn't be taking, and then we're taking more damage that we shouldn't be taking, and then we kill the Void Knights again. He misses us on the bone cage. We got an antidote pot because we're taking excess damage. We come here. Now you can see, like, this is tier 0, and like I'm just taking damage left and right. Like my only saving grace is I deal 1 billion damage, right? Otherwise, this would be a hassle. Okay, so we give him the business. We're poisoned again. We're bone caged. We're running around in a way. We're gonna refill our belt because we need to. We're gonna make sure that we don't accidentally die. Kill the Void Knights. Kill the Void Knights. Now, the reason the Void Knights are being summoned is because if you're Fizz-based and you attack one, if you attack one of them, they both take damage. I've been told there's something wonky with poison where if you're poison-based, you can actually target one of them and it'll only deal damage to one and you don't phase them, but that's like some high-level buggy shit that we're not going to do. So you can see we've cleared up. We killed the poison guy. Now this fight is absolutely super duper easy. He's really easy to dodge all of his stuff. And then we just kind of go in. We give him the business. And boom, boom, baby. That's it. We get our Tainted Worldstone Shard, and we are thrilled. The Tainted Worldstone Shard Corruption Annihilus. That's how you get the +2 to skills, the extra vitality and energy, the extra resistance, or the more experience. It has I think it's like a 50-50 to brick your Annie or not. I'm not going to try to brick my Annie. I'm going to actually go sell it and make a little bit of money. and recoup some of the stuff from this video. Now that's it. That's the three starter areas. There is a third boss. There is a boss called Lucian. I don't have the gear put together currently anymore for him. I sold some of the stuff that I would need to do the Lucian fight. I'm gonna go pick up the stuff again for the Lucian fight. We're going to make another video talking about the Lucian fight, but I can give you the basic rundowns of the fight here. Lucian requires maximum lightning resistance. So you see I have boots here with maximum lightning resistance. I have an amulet here with maximum lightning resistance. I have lightning absorb, or I have maximum lightning resistance here on my belt. So if I do this, you know, we have +8 here, +2, and then we have +2 here. That puts us at 87, and then I would need 3 more, so I would put a low rune into my armor instead of this Vex rune. We also don't need maximum fire resistance, so we can get rid of this, so we have just more damage. And ideally, you want at least like 35 to 50 PDR, maximum lightning resistance being 90, cap your other resistances, a source of can't be frozen, and then you go in and don't stand in the lightning. If you can dodge the lightning, you're golden. It's a really simple fight, and the benefit of doing that fight is you get to double corrupt your amulet. Like I said, I don't have the materials right now. I have to actually go pick up the demonic insignia, and then we can do the fight. The materials for Lucian come from 3 places. The Flesh of Malak can drop from any demon. The Talisman of Transgression can drop from any enemy in a corrupted zone. And the demonic insignia can drop from the red portals in the LOD zones in Act 5. There's a couple zones in Act 5 where there's red portals. You go in there, you kill all the enemies. They have a chance of dropping the demonic insignia. The demonic insignia is actually like 0.3 of a high rune at the time of recording. They're really, really, really expensive. So it's definitely worth doing. And then you change your gear, and then instead of a dwarf star, you would use a wisp. So I gotta go get a wisp to put on, and then I gotta go get the insignia, and then we can do the fight, because I don't have the money to buy the thing. If I had the money, I would do it. I gotta sell this stuff. But that's the 3 fights. That's the Uber fight. That's the Rathma fight. That's the Dclone fight on an Amazon. If you have any questions at all, feel free to leave a comment down below. Come stop by the live stream or the Discord. You know, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you guys have. There's a lot of people in the community that do bossing too. They're super, super, super friendly, and they're always willing to chat. But for now, friends, this video ran a little bit long. I'm gonna get this one out to you guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.